Welcome to today's Media Mentor session presented by your friends at One Day Immersion. We really appreciate you spending some time with us today. We know you've got a lot going on and we appreciate it. My name's Dolly Wolf. I am the founder of One Day Immersion, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And our goal is to really help college students and recent grads and folks interested in media kind of make their way from university into the workplace and connect you with some of the smartest and most creative people in the industry. And I'm proud to say that we're in our 9th year of doing that. And we do this through programs like Media Mentors and our fall conference, One Day Immersion, which will start to develop very, very soon. And we do that in partnership with Fordham University's Gabelli School of Business. Very proud partner of theirs. Today's featured guest host is Mike Richter. He is the director of Programmatic Partnerships at Jukin Media. And it's always really great for us to work with people who come with the mentoring spirit already and support, our efforts and what we're trying to do. And that's Mike. We've found that out very quickly. And, this is our second project with Mike, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last because I find him to be fabulous. Per his bio, he is driven by his passion for strategy and innovation in media and ad tech. He leads programmatic monetization and revenue operations. Jukin Media is a global entertainment company built on the belief that the future of storytelling is user-generated, so very much power to the people. Jukin produces original content for TV, the web, and emerging platforms, and is owner-operator of a portfolio of social video properties that include Fail Army, People Are Awesome, The Pet Collective, and Jukin Video. The properties combined for more than 100 million fans online and over 3 billion monthly video views. He is also dedicated to working with industry leaders to discover innovative and cohesive solutions as both media and ad tech evolve constantly. Prior to joining Jukin Media, Mike worked at Newsy and was on the founding team at Premion. He is an avid traveler. I'd love to know where he's been. Lover of arts and entertainment, and always ready to try out the latest and greatest tech. And he's also a proud dog, dad dog to Finn, who's an adorable Aussie. I've got an Aussie too, so I'm a little biased. So I'd like to get started and welcome media executive Mike Richter.
Thank you, Dolly. Thank you so much. It's funny when I'm being introduced, I think like you make me sound a lot more important than I do think I am internally. So thank you. I appreciate that. I want to welcome everybody for being here. It's funny because it's when I try to think about where I was, oh God, 12 years ago now. The years keep passing, so it's hard for me to remember exactly what year it is now. It's interesting. A lot of time, I thought I knew what I wanted to do. And I also thought that I was scared, frankly, scared shitless. I'm not going to lie. I was scared to go into the world. So I found ways to sabotage myself, and we'll get into that. And it's really interesting because there's not a right path to where you end up. I'm excited that we have, the select few here, that we're going to be able to make this a very, interesting, more intimate town hall effort today, because the world of ad tech is this wonderful space. Once I discovered it, I never want to leave it. I have not had to look for a job in 7 years. I have achieved so many of my goals and dreams before the age goals that I set out for me to reach where I'm at now. I am less than 35. I live on my own in a luxury building apartment in New York City. In a 1-bedroom, a large one. I'm able to drop my hat and go do whatever I want to do whenever I want to be able to do it. And to be able to do that at that age, it's hard to be able to do that, but you're able to get there. And it doesn't seem like you can right now, but you will be able to. I actually wanted to bring a friend of mine on because she took an entirely different path in this industry than I did. where she started much closer to where you are in age, because I actually didn't get started in this industry until I was 26, I believe. And it was all by an accident. And every single step to this point has been by an accident, but also intentional ever since I discovered that I love it. So before I get started, what I'd love to be able to do is learn a little bit more about who's here in the room, because this is a rare opportunity according to, I've talked to Dolly a lot about what these types of events look like. And usually there's a lot more people here. So we don't get to make this a little more personable. So one thing I'd like to ask is, if you feel comfortable, please feel free, turn on your camera. This is something that we're going to be used to, you're going to have to get used to doing anyways in this realm, especially as we have all been changing up the way that we work. We are all on camera now. It has been, let me tell you, I have learned there are so many more pores in my face than I ever thought before that were there. So you start paying a lot more attention about things up close. But it's a nice way to connect. So only if you're comfortable, please feel free to do so. But it's going to help me connect to you, and I look forward to doing that. I'd also like to ask if for anybody that is comfortable doing so, we'll kind of go round table here. Share with me who you are, what year you're at in school, or if you've recently graduated, and what do you want to do? What is your short-term goal? Like what path do you want to take? Who'd like to start?
I'll start.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Paige. I go to Pace University. I am a senior. And when I graduate this May, I would like to work in the restaurant industry.
Awesome. Very cool.
Hi, my name is Yasmin, and I guess I'm a junior. I'm going to CUNY School of Professional Studies to complete my bachelor's in communication and media. And I currently have no idea what I want to do. What I do know is that I do not want to be an executive assistant anymore. So definitely on a path to figure that out. So that's it.
I hope we can help you get on that path. There's a lot of opportunity here to talk about that. I look forward to kind of touching on a few things with that, because you're in a degree that really focuses on this industry, hands down, because there's not a degree to do what we do in this space of ad tech, but there are, my degree is basic business, and we'll get into how I completely messed up my path in life where I thought I did, and there was no pathway forward to where I am now. And it's really interesting. So we're gonna have fun today. We're definitely gonna have fun. Who else would like to go?
I will, because of the CUNY connection. I'm a recent grad from the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism, and I'm all over the place in terms of what I want to do. Like I don't think it's going to be fulfilled with just one role. So I see myself having multiple roles. Ideally, podcast editor of some kind of podcast where I can bridge differences among different communities in the global South and kind of demystify misconceptions and things like that. And then part freelancing print, health and science and culture stories. And then part working with a nonprofit where I can do strategic communications, but I'm still trying to figure out what strategic communications means. I think I know what it means. But yeah, like these different roles where I can come with add some value in the intersections of art, health, and social justice issues.
I love the energy behind that. Fun fact, we'll also talk about this too. I'm actually getting ready to start a podcast Clubhouse-based series with, doing what I do by inviting people across the industry. And we're going to be hosting it at Jukin, talking about programmatic and stuff. So cool thing is you can actually get into that without having to go into it, right? There's the really interesting ways you can accomplish all of the goals you have set to reach the different realms that you want to touch in life through different industries without having to specifically go into just one industry to do that. The other interesting thing too, and I'm sure some of you have seen these studies, the generation today in the world that is growing up, including the generation I'm in, like we're not conditioned to sit in one job for 50 years. The average time somebody spends in a job today is anywhere from 2 to 3 years max in a single role, whether it's at the same company or it's in that role. I personally have not been in the same role since I started in media for more than I think when I come up on my anniversary of being at Jukin for 2 years, it'll be the longest I've been in the same role. But actually, that might be changing soon. I can't really talk about that yet. But, so the point is that there is always movement. Don't think that you have to focus on just one thing, one path. That's where you're going to go on. You're going to make many mistakes. You're going to make many different pathways. We're going to talk about that. Look, this is going to be fun. I look forward to talking about this and helping you out. Who else would like to talk?
I could go. My name is Hermedla. I'm a senior and I study finance and international management. And what I want to do is also as I have a lot of different paths. In regards to what I'm studying, I'm currently working at an investment bank. So as great as that is, with job security, I think I'm more of a creative person, and my interests lie in the fashion and the music industry. I was able to get exposed to that by working within the modeling industry and being assigned to an agency. So that kind of gave me a look at how much I actually enjoy that industry and the creative side. But so I'm also all over the place, but I'm still deciding what path I want to take for when I graduate this May.
That's okay. The cool thing with that is some of the industries that you mentioned you want to get into, some of the things that those industries are always lacking for the people that get into that are the expertise that you already have, that you're learning about right now and what you currently do in your current career, as well as your education background. Being able to have international expertise as well as financial expertise. People that are in the creative element, they usually don't get that until later on. So being able to bring that in, for example, I'm not really in the creative element, but trying to find people that know finance and knows how to make finance work for ad serving and ad technology is like trying to pull teeth out of a very terribly painful mouth. Okay. It is so hard. It's taken me almost close to 2 years just to help our finance team learn how to properly bill. So, there are so many skills you can bring to the table with your background knowledge to help you branch into the industries that you find most interesting and creative. And we can talk about how I used to be a hairstylist. I think my license has actually lapsed by now, but I was a licensed hair and makeup artist. We'll talk about that. But I did that because I wanted to try and get into the media industry, and everything that I kept trying to do. My goal was I wanted to be in media or entertainment in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. And I'm here, maybe not in the path that I thought I wanted to go, maybe not producing movies like I originally wanted to, but I'm influencing and helping fund and make amazing content get to the world and keep that flowing by monetizing that and being able to be next to it. So there's cool ways to still influence, be part of what you want to be a part of, and stay happy, which is the key to life. I mean, we never know why do we do what the hell we do. It's at the end of the day, you want to be happy for you and your family and those around you. And how do you do that? You do what makes you happy and figure out what that is. If anybody else feels like they'd love to share, please feel free to speak up. And if you want to put a chat in the chat room, you wouldn't even want to just send me a private chat because you might want me to hit a certain topic, please do that. This is for you. I am here to help you. You're here to help you. So feel free to interrupt me, raise your hand, do something. We'll go from there. So the first thing I want to talk about is, and it sounds like the common theme here is nobody knows what the hell they want to do. That's okay. I still don't know what I want to do in 5 years from now. I keep thinking what do I want? Where do I want to go? I don't know. I know that, I know where my expertise lies. I'm looking at the way the industry works. And when I think back to when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, what did I want to do? I made some wrong moves, right? When I graduated from high school and, it was back in 2006, actually, I was dumb. Hands down, just dumb. I was afraid of the world. Part of that was because I'd recently come out just a year prior. I lived in the South. So I was afraid to go to college and live on campus. So I stayed off campus, tried to work full time, try to support people that were living with me as well as go. Long story short, 2 years later, I dropped out of college with a grade of an F. That wasn't me. I graduated high school with top scholars and top of my class and everything. That was not who I was. Ran into some sales jobs. And keep in mind, I originally went to college for marketing because I wanted to get into the marketing, the creative aspect of the creative industry and advertise and, make my way into TV because I thought marketing meant advertising commercials. So then throughout some sales jobs, I learned I really enjoyed doing some makeup on a friend one day, and they're like, you should go to school to do that. Look, when you're young, you don't know where the path is going. We're going through the recession. You had to figure out, what do you want to do? So next thing you know, I'm in hair school. Graduated from that, did hair for a few years. And my main goal for that was I wanted to go into hair to do hair on movies and TV shows. Interned under the winner of the first season. I think that was called Face Off back then on Sci-Fi, which is really cool. He actually ended up living in Charlotte. But unfortunately, in order for me to really go further in that industry, I had to become unionized, live somewhere that had more union jobs that would allow me to do that. It was hard. I was living in Charlotte. So I was stuck. I was like, what do I do? While trying to pay my bills, because again, I kept failing forward, but I kept making it through. I ended up finding a job managing at a local department store. Anybody might know the name Dillard's. While I was there, after being able to get myself back on my feet, I decided that I wanted, I needed to go ahead and finally finish school. At that point, I was 23 or 24. So I went back to our local community college back in Charlotte, graduated in less than a year with the credits that I was able to transfer in from my previous school. Graduated top of my class there, then enrolled at ECU. I was very fortunate that in North Carolina, a lot of the public school system there has a great online program. So I was able to do online school as well as going to school, as well as working full time. And right before, the very last semester, right before I was about to graduate, I was trying to get out of my role in retail and get into selling advertising space. And I interviewed at this one place called Town Square Interactive. Hindsight, I'm very glad I didn't get the role there. And I was talking to a friend of mine, a really close friend of mine. She worked selling TV at a local TV station. And we had a very long conversation, and they had an open role. And I was very fortunate for her to give me that recommendation. And guess what? I got the job and I sucked at it. Hands down, just sucked at it. Okay. I learned a lot of great stuff. I learned how to sell local TV. I did okay. But I was trying to live up to everybody around me. I was trying to be number one. I was trying to do this, trying to do that. And I had to learn, I had to slow down, start small, and build myself up. Right. I learned from the best. There were people that worked around me that had been there for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. And I put my, essentially just put my head to the ground and listened. I had to be humble. That is a very key thing, is be humble. Because one thing that I learned this when I go back to hair school, when you melt somebody's hair off with bleach, and that person is somebody that you go to school with, you quickly learn how to be humble. I am going to tell you that when you have to see them the next day and they and their hair has been melted off. Like, if anybody's ever seen hair being melted off with bleach, go watch Brad Mondo videos. It is disgusting. It is scary. It is sad. When you do that, you quickly learn that you are going to be knocked down a few layers, and I was. So going back into the humility aspect, I learned a lot of important things in selling TV. My role transitioned a little bit into being an account manager there. And from that point, then the company I worked at was called Tegna. Tegna was used to be called Gannett. They own a lot of TV stations all over the nation. And so Tegna had started 2 new businesses. One started about a year prior. It was their Hatch business, which was integrative marketing, where they created these really cool creative integrated marketing packages for the local TV stations to sell to clients. And then the other one was this brand new one called Premion. And that was, it literally wasn't even off the ground yet. There's 2 people there. And that was all around bringing in this new thing called connected television, or OTT, over the top TV, inventory, collecting that and sourcing an inventory from various publishers that have it and helping resell it at the local level. And the reason for that is this inventory was generally sold by bigger pubs, like, you're talking about ABC, Pluto, things, and all these are sold at a national level. So for a local advertiser, it's hard to get into a national level. So we were able to bring this new inventory, localize it, and target it. So one day, as I looked online on the internal posting board for the company, because I was actually going to apply for Hatch because I wanted to go work in marketing. and I saw this role at Premion for product marketing manager. It was really interesting because I had no clue about CTV or OTT or how to handle things at a national level or work with multiple markets. But it did talk about how the biggest key thing was working with all the various local sales teams, because Tegna had about 50 to 60 television stations. And so helping work with all those to reposition this product or position this product to go to market and help these sellers learn how to sell it. And that's what I did as an account manager, is I worked with existing partnerships, existing clients, as well as helping the sellers pre-sell and create packages. So put my name in the hat, went to my boss and said, look, I'm interested in this. And it was a position in New York, which I knew I wanted to live in New York at some point. And, to this day, I am very fortunate that I was given that opportunity. And that opportunity, it will be given to people when you ask for it. That was one thing I learned, is I didn't have the long history of expertise to support this new role. I did have some, but what I did bring to the table was a gift of gab. Thankful from my dad for that one, as well as an inquisitive nature and the ability to connect with the people that interviewed me. And that is what you need to be able to bring to the table, as well as a desire to do good. However you want to take that, a desire to do well, a desire to do what the job takes and win, because that's what everyone's here to do. We always feel like the world is designed to challenge us, which it is, but we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to get ahead together. And we tend to try to get ahead individually because we are afraid nobody else wants to take the time of day. But when we become vulnerable enough and let people realize, no, we're here to help you. I'm here to help you just as much as you're here to help me. That's where teamwork comes in play. And that's what helps you get roles. And that's what I believe helped me get this role. I walk in first day after flying up to New York. And after the first day, I thought I need to go home. I had no clue what the hell I was doing. I was asked questions about the industry and about this or about that, but I loved the boss I was working for. I loved what we were planning to do. And I was really, really curious about what this new connected TV element, this world of cutting the cord. I'm sure everybody's heard of cutting the cord today, right? Cutting cable and going to online TV through like Hulu, Roku, different things like that. That's what this was, right? That taking inventory like this and selling this inventory. And it was a wild year and a half, almost two. We launched 60 plus markets. We also brought the product to another TV company externally, not just the company that owned the product. I was in charge of launching it out to the other company. I helped build a lot of the sales process and inbound sales process, the entire training process. I had to build training videos. I had to teach myself how to create animation and create videos and edit sound. Look, that wasn't my role, but I had to get creative and get scrappy. And that's what you do in a type of startup environment. We were fortunate to be backed by a larger corporation, but it was it was an interesting time of change. Towards the end of my role there, we were the growth. One thing I'm addicted to, as I talk about this, I'm addicted to growth. I've realized this. I'm addicted to fast pace. Growth hacking. How do you take something that's not something yet or something that's small and make it much bigger? And then once things start to get pretty steady, I start to get bored. That's just me. That might be you. It might be a little different. That's me. So I was starting to get a little bored. And one of my friends that I used to work with at the station back in Charlotte, who went on to work for another broadcast company called Scripps Corporate, where she had moved to Ohio, texted me one day and says, hey, do you know anybody who'd be looking for this role? And this role was at a company called Newsy. And I knew about Newsy because Newsy was one of the properties that we sold inventory for to our buyers. And it was a 24-hour news channel that was available on cable as well as on streaming services that Scripps owned. And the title was, I think it was like Director of Programmatic Partnerships or Programmatic Sales. And I knew what programmatic was. It was something that was newer to the space. It had been around for a few years. Programmatic is simply the ability to connect two different computers and make them do the sales efforts and talking all in one quick second. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And I knew that it had to do with connected TV. Again, I read the job description. Job description said working with third-party partners to make sure they're educated about the product and they're willing to go out there and sell your product, right? Our product was advertising inventory, commercial inventory, meaning that it's, and if I've not said this before, it's space that takes place during an ad break while you're watching TV, that we were selling that in the form of seconds of time. And working with those partners and getting them to buy more of it and sell more of it. And I thought to myself, okay, the details of programmatic, the technical side of it is something I'm going to have to learn, but the essence of what the role is, I can apply to what I'm already doing to this new role. Because what I was doing is I was working with all of our television stations and as well as the other television stations not part of our company to teach them how to sell the product and also make sure that they kept our product front of mind and then we're going out there and pushing it and selling it. What's so different? So I put my name in the hat. Again, I was very fortunate to be able to get the role because I didn't come with a programmatic experience, but I did come with the experience of being in front of agencies. And again, I used my experience that I brought to the table, as well as been able and explain, look, this might say to do it this way. While it didn't say work with other TV stations, that work with companies like SSPs and DSPs and OMPs, and there's all these different acronyms, and we can talk about that later. But the idea was I'm just working with people. Doesn't matter what the name of these companies are. I'm just trying to work with, I've got my product and I need these other people to sell my product for me. And that's what I was trying to do. That was the bare bones of it all. So I walked in and I was very, very fortunate to have that role. And that role was the role that helped me become even more connected in this digital space. I started attending more conferences, which is so important to do. I started working with all of our external partners, multiple companies, and we grew our business tremendously. I was there for about 9 months and I enjoyed being there. But there were a few things when it came to management that I just didn't agree with, and some things that were just a little off for me. And right around the time that I had noticed that, a friend of mine in space at one of the vendors that we worked with had texted me and said, hey, this company, Jukin Media, is looking for somebody, and I don't want the role. I'm not ready to leave anywhere, but you'd be perfect for this. Do you want this? And I said, sure, let me talk to them. And in less than a month, I was changing roles. And I was brought in to essentially do the same thing I was doing in Newsy, which was get our product sold. We were on path to do just around $1 million that year, just maybe a little over. We ended up finishing that. I came in June. We finished that year at 3.7 million. And then we finished last year at 8 million. And we're on track this year we're gold at 12, but I'm sure we'll do closer to 15 or 16. Growth is fantastic. Right now, we're still in crazy growth mode at Jukin. We have launched not just all over the nation, but we're also in Canada, Brazil, Mexico, Australia, UK, Spain, France, Italy, Germany, the Netherlands. We're launching in Japan, we're launching in India, and we're looking at Malaysia. And I oversee all of the programmatic sales efforts, partnership efforts, and ad operations for all of those regions globally. It is an amazing, amazing role that I'm thankful for every single day. I'm thankful that I get to work in an industry with people that I can call friends. Some of my best friends are my colleagues in this industry. It's funny how small this world is. My best friend, Christy, she doesn't work in this industry. The man she married, who actually officiated their wedding, works for a company that we work with. It's just, it's the largest, smallest industry that we're ever going to know. And it touches so many different realms. Because what does advertising do? Advertising supports content because content's not free. We love to consume content. We love to read it online. We love to watch it on TV. Yes, do we pay for content? We do. Would we pay a lot more for content? We would if advertising did not exist. So it does that. It supports content. It also helps build businesses. Advertising is what allows for these different industries to stay afloat. It allows for them to bring people, consumers, into their doors, to their websites, to their phone lines, and to buy their products and services. all the way from a local business when I was selling local TV to a national or international sales effort. And they all mean, they're all just important as the other. And it's interesting, for example, when the pandemic happened, watching how advertising changed, what stopped spending, and then quickly within a couple of months, this people that used to spend came back to spending more, just flip their message around a little bit. But it's all about staying connected to the viewer. And you're able, through advertising, to be creative. You're able to get connected. We talk about the media entertainment industry. Some of our biggest clients are Disney, and for their media releases, and Universal and other ones like that. So we're able to be connected there. The amount of cross-industry connection that this industry allows us to do is incredible. I go to various events like CES each year when we can go to places in person. CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. Every major company out there, every major media company out there goes to these events. 2 years ago, I think it was 2019, because 2020, went to Demexco out in Germany, which was fantastic, and IBC in Amsterdam. Those are both big. IBC is more about broadcasting. Demexco is more about just digital sales efforts. My boss and I were talking about earlier today, we're looking at a place down, a Digimar, which is another digital summit down in Brazil, because Brazil is growing tremendously. We're looking at one for APAC. But these larger events bring in multiple industries, not just advertising and ad tech. So as we get into ad tech, what I'd like to do is pause a little bit here and answer any quick questions, because I know that's a lot going there. But the point that I wanted to make there is I failed so many times in everything that I did. I made so many mistakes. I had no clue what direction I was going in, and I still don't sometimes. What I do know, though, is I'm happy with who I am and where I am. And I want that for you for when you're ready to get there. So any questions so far?
When you said you had the ability to connect with people who interview you, I found that very compelling, because that is a special skill, I believe, because you're going in and talking to strangers, and you're selling. It's the big pitch of why they should consider you.
Yeah.
So I just wondered if you could touch on that just a little bit more of how do you prepare when you're going in, to talk to somebody about a possible position or internship, or just, maybe it's a networking kind of thing. How do you prepare to go in there to be able to feel so confident that I'm going to be connecting with these people?
I think about how I would go in for a sales call, or how I would go in to speak to a large audience, the same way as I would go in to speak about an interview. At the end of the day, any meeting that you ever have, whether it is for an interview, a sales call, presentation, you name it, you're selling something. Point blank. When you're interviewing, you are selling yourself. And the company that's interviewing you is selling themselves to you. You need to want them as much as they want you. That is a hard thing to understand, because you feel like they have all the power. And they do. They have the power to hire you or not. But you also have the power to accept the hire or not. You have the power to bring to the table who you are and the skills that you bring. You are valuable. When you get a meeting with somebody, it means that they believe that you have value to offer. So prior to that meeting, because you got that meeting, you've already won something. And that right there should give you the confidence. If people show up to watch you talk, you've won the confidence. And that, again, now, do you have to hold that confidence up and to carry through? Hell yeah, you do. And that's hard to do. But if you ever feel yourself wavering, remember back to why you're there in the first place, because you got the meeting. One of the first trips I did in my role at Premion, I had to go out to Phoenix, and I was there late, maybe no more than a month and a half already. And my boss was double booked. He had to be at one event in New Orleans or one event in Phoenix. They sent me out to the one in Phoenix. We were supposed to pitch some local clients. Cool. Awesome. So I get out there and I show up the next morning to the hotel where they're hosting the event. I'm thinking there's only be like 20 people there. So I got myself prepared for 20 people to talk to. I'm confident enough they're there for the product for me to talk about it. And I walk in, there was like maybe 200 people, not 20. I'm a month and a half into this new role, wearing slacks that barely fit me the right way. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? But I had to remember before I went up there, they're there to learn something from me because they believe that I, along with the other colleagues of mine that were there to present, are the experts on the subject that we're presenting. So they're not there to quiz me or question me. Some might. And if they do, you have to just handle that. But they're there to learn something from me. And that gave me the confidence again to say, I'm going to go out there and speak about what I came prepared to speak about. And that's all you can do. Your nerves will always try to get the better of you. But you have to remember, when they do, why are you there in the first place? That is the key. Amber?
Yeah, thanks. I was wondering when you were speaking about some of the experiences or some of the jobs that you went for that you weren't exactly the most prepared person, how you gauge or how you would recommend us to gauge what jobs we can kind of, not necessarily fake it till we make it, but that we can kind of, dip our toes and do just more learning on the job and kind of just capitalizing on the skills that we have otherwise. And which ones maybe, is it about like gauging which ones we should or shouldn't based on something, or is it just about failing forward and just going for them anyway, as long as they align with our interests and passions?
I'm always going to say it's about failing forward, because if you fail at something, it teaches you how to do something better. I try to always fail at something I do first, whether it's baking a cake, which I love to do, or it is, talking to somebody. Look, I've pissed some people off when presenting, right? But that I'm glad that I did, because I was able to learn from my mistakes. And that's what we have to be able to do in life. So when going for a position, one of the things I always try to focus on with somebody is there are two things you're bringing to the table, right? There are your skills. Now, your skills are attributes of who you are, right? And they're attributes of when you've done things in roles in the past or jobs in the past, and you've applied those skills. Those skills are still very generic, right? Remember when I was talking about how in the role at Premion compared to the role at Newsy, Premion was about going out to TV stations and teaching about this sellable product and the way that inventory is sold was sold differently than programmatic, right? And then at Newsy, which was a programmatic role, going out talking to SSPs and DSPs to get in and sell a product. But the thing is, you got to find what is the commonality between those two. And the commonality between those two functions, that is your skill, right? So my skill was partnership management, because I was working with partners. My skill was education, because I was educating people about the products. Sales, I was selling the products, right? Those are the skills. Those are your skills that you can apply across multiple roles. That is the thing you have always have to think about, because you never want to let yourself feel like you're going to be stuck in an industry. If you feel like you're stuck in an industry, stop feeling that way right now. Please stop. I felt like that for years. I did. And when I let go of that fear, because the thing is, I wasn't stuck. I was scared to fail at the next industry I went into. I was scared to mess up at what I did. And I'm a perfectionist at heart. To this day, I am scared to fail at things. But I have to remember it's okay to mess up. It's okay. Something somebody taught me, and I'm going to continue to answer this question, but it's a very, very key thing that was taught to me is when I started in TV, her name was Tracy. I love her to death. She was retiring a few months after I started. She told me, she said, it is a spot on the log, not on your lung. Now, when talking about that in TV terms, spot means commercial spot. Log is the schedule of the TV channel. So when you're dealing with clients that bought TV spots and all this stuff, right? And they're getting mad about something didn't run right, or you're trying to sell it, who cares? It is a spot on the log, not on your lung. It's not going to kill you. Don't let it run you into the ground. It's okay, right? So, meaning, and that I remember that every day, because that helps me stop being so uptight sometimes about some situations. If I don't get everything done today, I'm just going to get done tomorrow. If something fails, well, we'll pick up and try it again a new way. That's what we do in life. We're human. Humans are not perfect, and you don't have to be perfect. So when looking at how to apply skills to different roles, you want to find those commonalities between them, because then there's application, right? Or, meaning there are situations of, okay, do you know different systems? And that's more like technical skills, right? And technical skills are going to be harder to jump from industry to industry, because usually the technical skills are rooted in a specific system or a specific situation. And that's okay. Or they're rooted more in specifically the industry. The skill might not be so much in the sense of how to press a 1 or a 0, but it might be, do you understand how agencies work? That's the thing for TV, right? When I talk to people that know digital and they want to come and sell CTV, they might deal with digital agencies, but not deal with TV industry agencies. Like, there are skills that you learn and things that you learn about how these different cultures of these different industries are, and how the sub-industries within the major industries are different. And those are things you're going to learn in time. And that requires networking, that requires learning, that requires being able to say, if somebody asks you a question, you don't know the answer, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. I can go, if you give me time, I'm gonna come back to you with that. Or you could say, can you please clarify? I'm new to understanding these concepts. I need a little more explanation around what you're asking so I can give you the right answer, or so I can learn about the answer I need to give to you. It is okay not to have the answer, especially in roles that you might get that you're like, I don't know what the hell that system is. Can somebody show me it? Yeah, they can, but you have to ask for the help. We're human. We're not robots. We're not AI. We are made to learn every day. You're going to be learning every single day of your life. Always remember that.
Just one follow-up question. So then would you suggest in interviews, or even before that, when we're thinking about applying for jobs, if there are some technical skills that are involved in knowing some systems, to kind of minimize that for us in our mind, to like not prevent ourselves from, and kind of maximize or think more about the skills that role will entail, that are more of those generalist skills that you talked about, so that we don't psych ourselves out of applying just based on the technicalities?
Yeah. So one of the things is this: technical skills can be taught, hands down. Based on the role that you're going into, certain skills you may want to have for that role. At entry level, that's okay. You're not expected to know how to do everything, right? Know the basics, Microsoft, Microsoft Office products, things like that, or just basic word processing and things, the things that you're learning in school today. Those are the basics that you need they prepare you for entry level roles. That is key. Okay. At entry level roles, you're going to learn how to take the skills that you possess as a human being and the value you bring as being who you are individually, to learning and applying to these technical skills you're going to learn in that role. You're going to learn by doing that how to essentially take the skills that you own as a person and transfer those to other technical skills in the future. What a lot of times entry level roles are doing is they're teaching you how to learn. That is all they're there for you. They're teaching you how to learn, how to excel, how to gain experience, how to gain notoriety, how to gain people that you're going to be networking with for the future. I keep saying the word networking because networking is so important, right? There are people that you're going to learn from, you're going to meet, you're going to work for, you might work for the rest of your life, but not at the same company. There are people that you might work with for the rest of your life at different companies. That is okay. That is what you want. You want to find your tribe. Find your tribe, because your tribe is going to be key to growth. Don't let your tribe hold you back, ever. Your tribe is the group of people that you work with in an industry that want to lift you up no matter what. That is your tribe. If anybody's ever trying to hold you back or be jealous of you, they're not part of your tribe. Dump them. Serious. Find your tribe. That tribe is going to help you. I've got mine. It's big. But I can tell you this, I'm very fortunate, because if I was to unfortunately lose my position one day, I'd be able to make a few phone calls and find something very quickly. And you do that through networking and through building your connections. I hope that some of you want to stay connected to me after this for this industry. I would be happy to help point you in some direction. Again, it is going to require you to do the work and do the due diligence. But recommendations do go a long way. And that's what this industry is all about. And that's what every industry is about. So it's about who you know but it's also about what you bring to the table, because nobody's going to hand anything to you. Because in order for them to give a recommendation, they're also putting their neck out for you, right? So you got to still do the work. I hope that helps answer that question a little bit.
And beyond. Thank
Okay,
you.
awesome. Yeah, I tend to go on a tangent sometimes, and then I forget. I'm like, what was I exactly answering? So,
Life
I mean,
lessons.
yeah. So, I mean, those are like some of the key things that I definitely would love to share there. I mean, look, I could spend this hour talking about how programmatic works. You don't want to hear that. That's all technical BS, right? It's exciting. It's different. You know, when you look at how a programmatic auction works, a programmatic auction of inventory takes place in less than a time it takes for a butterfly to flap its wings. It's pretty quick, right? Less than a second. When you look at how many transactions take place in programmatic, one platform alone, and I only know this because they posted about this, Triple Lift, they're an SSP, a supply side provider. There's 8 times more transactions on Triple Lift a day than there is on the New York Stock Exchange. And in less than 48 hours, there are more ad requests than there are fish in the sea in the programmatic space. It is pretty fascinating. And if you ever want to learn more about it, I can totally point you some directions about that. To speak about it is something that will take longer than an hour. I promise you on that one. But it's a fascinating place to be in. I do highly recommend it. Anything that's got to do with the ad ops, the connected TV industry and space is something that is so amazing. It's growing so fast that there's billions and billions and billions of dollars behind it of ad spend. But you know, one of those points that leads me to being is when you find yourself in a role, regardless what industry you're in, become the expert. Don't become a expert. Don't become just knowledgeable. Become the expert. Study. Look up the trades around what you're learning, what you're doing. For me, when I got to Premion, it was all about connected TV. And I had to learn this industry so well. I mean, I talk to people today and they're like, dude, like you're beyond studied on this. And I said, yeah, I am, because that's what I focused on for the past 6 years. Every element of it. And because of that, it's awarded me these abilities to be part of this amazing industry. Have you ever heard of the IAB, which is kind of like the NAB, which is the IAB is the Internet Advertising Bureau. There's this large organization that pretty much sets the rules for internet advertising. And we sit on, we're members, and it's amazing to be part of the teams that are writing the rules around this industry. Like I'm on the legal counsel that's really helping write the rules on connected television for the CCPA and how to adhere to CCPA. I'm also part of the team that's writing the new terms and conditions that go on general internet advertising insertion orders. Going to be joining the video team soon that helps write those different rules. It is so fascinating to be able to be part of this and learn from this. And so when you find this industry, you want to become the expert so you can become part of these committees of these, because these committees, these types of organizations exist for every industry, regardless of industry you go into. But when you become the expert, you become somebody everybody wants to learn from, and you become somebody everybody wants to be part of. You become somebody that is valuable, and you're valuable now, and your value will grow as you continue to apply yourself and become more of that expert. And that's something that's extremely key. And along with being the expert allows you to also properly network. Do you ever get the opportunity to go to industry events? Do it. Things like this, do it. If you are not working for a company that's wanting to fund you to go and travel to an event, there are local events that take place as well. For those of you in New York, for example, we used to have, prior to COVID, of course, we had ad ops, regular meetups, right? And we met up everything like one Thursday a month for beers down in Midtown. It was a great way for everybody to kind of get together and talk and chat, especially for those that don't usually go to conferences. If you're able to join in on just anything that you can help connect to people, both inside your organization that you're working at, as well as outside your organization, because that's going to help you find new roles. It's going to help you learn more about what you do and how to do it better. It's going to help you bring new innovative ways into your role to come into your app by learning from other companies. It's going to help you excel. You're here today. You chose to spend this hour today with us because you want to excel. I hope that's why you chose to do this. I really do. I wish that I did this when I was your age and didn't wait till I was 26 to start in my industry. But that was my path, and that's okay. It doesn't matter where you start or when you start. It just matters that you do, and it matters that you don't stop. Don't give up. There are times that I wanted to. There are times that I was scared to go forward. But I was also scared to lose, and I was scared to stop. And that fear of losing or stopping was much greater than the fear of going forward. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Where you're working now, what is it called?
Jukin. Yeah, Jukin.
So how does it look for like students, who have just graduated, and like how does it look like moving up, I guess, in that company or companies similar you worked for?
Yeah, so I mean, it would be with pretty much any very similar. Let's say it's about, from what I've seen, it's the same in almost any company. It's if you apply yourself and you work hard on what you do, or you hit your KPIs, your key performance indicators, and you're properly managed. That is one of the most important things, is that you have a good manager. Okay, your manager, the person you report to, their role is not just to make sure the department does well. Their role is to develop you. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to sit back and just let them develop you. You have to also take an active role in your personal development and your professional development. And by doing that, is you have to hold them accountable the same way they hold you accountable. So when you're working for somebody, no matter what team that you're on, whoever your direct supervisor is, you want to make sure if they're not doing quarterly check-ins with you, or as often as you really want. If you want to do a monthly check-in, ask for it. It's okay. If you want to do a monthly check-in about your progress, and because you want to make sure you go forward, do that. Now, it doesn't mean that you're just going to go forward because you cross a few milestones of being there a certain amount of time. You have to make sure you hit your KPIs. You have to ask, what are my KPIs? Agree on them together. If they're setting KPIs for you that are unattainable, that's not fair to you. If they're setting KPIs for you that are challenging, but you still have questions about how to learn how to get there, you have to be able to ask, okay, these are good. I think I can get here, but I need help. I need help learning how to do X, Y, and Z so I can reach D, E, and F, right? Or A, B, and C. Weird. I'm losing my letters here. But the point is that I'm making is you want to make sure that you are taking an active role in your development, and that you're asking for the company you work for to also take the active role in your development. Even at my level, I've asked for that as well every day. And when I've not felt that I was being developed, it's when I started looking somewhere else. Presidents or CEOs of companies are also being developed. Nobody is fully 100% developed. Everybody is learning and bettering themselves at every level of the career they're at. Part of humility is being able to accept that and work on it, on what you feel you have to do to get to those levels. So with our company, we have entry-level roles in different departments across different facets of the business. We are not just an advertising business. That is just one role. Our advertising business supports our content development and distribution. We have content sourcing business because we also license viral videos. And so we get a lot of our videos. So there are different roles. I mean, it's a matter of figuring out, if a role you want that role to be interesting to you, don't just take a job because you're taking a job. You'll be bored and leave that job in less than a year, and you'll have gotten nothing from it. I promise you. Now, if you need to pay your bills, yes, get a job. But there are a lot of roles out there, and find one that you have interest in, or that you can build interest in. Because something that you have interest in, that you care about, is something you're going to do a lot better at, and you're going to grow in that industry a lot faster, or in that role a lot faster. Mm-hmm. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Could you speak more about mentorship in the context of your development? Was it mostly like supervisors that you connected with, that you were well aligned with, who became part of your mentorship people, or I don't know if you consider them part of your tribe too, or was it more from like networking?
100%. I mean, look, I network with people of all levels in their career. I have friends that I've made that are CEOs and presidents of companies, and friends that I've made that are entry level, and friends that I made that are at the same level as me. We are all human, right? The key about the key about mentorship, or the key about development, is there's two different sides to it, right? Two different kinds of mentorship and development. There is your professional development in the role that you're in, where the responsibility of that as a company you work for, the person that supervises you, and your role is, and your responsibility as well, to develop and be developed. That, as well as doing your job and bringing the value to the company and the role that you're in. That's standard. Then you have external mentorship of people that either work for your company that aren't directly in your, that are not directly managing you, or indirectly managing you further above you. Or you have external management of people that don't work at your company, and they can be of any level. They really can. It's a matter of if you feel you can learn something from them, and if you can feel that you have a connection with them. And part of mentorship is trust. It's allowing you to be vulnerable. It's allowing you to say, look, can I learn from you? And you want to learn from them because you've learned something about them that you can feel you have a connection to. Somebody came to me and says, I want you to be my mentor. And I'm like, do you have any idea about who the hell I am or what I've done? Have you tried to just go on I'm not saying go on a date with me. Like, don't ask me all that. But what I mean is, you want, again, it's building a relationship with somebody. It's not a romantic relationship, it's a platonic relationship, but it's a professional platonic relationship in the sense of you want to make sure there's a connection. That connection is the most important thing in a mentorship, because that trust is what's going to help you be vulnerable enough to ask for the help for you to learn to grow. And that comes also with other things too, is accountability. If somebody says they're going to mentor you and they're not giving you what you need, call them out on it. Same thing with a supervisor. If you get your annual review and then they sit down with you and they say, so this year's been tough, you haven't hit these KPIs, and you're like blindsided because you thought you were doing well, that's not fair to you. That means you were being mismanaged. Nothing should ever be a surprise at your annual review. If it is, that means that there's something went wrong in the management of you.
Follow-up question to that, if it's okay.
Totally. I love them. We still have an audience. The people are still tuned in. So by all means, bring on the question.
Do you have any strategies or tips for how to turn like one-time mentorship opportunities into like a longer term outside of, like, I know there are formal mentorship programs, and I've tried different mentorship programs where it's like, I guess it's just like a one-time thing, you ask them to like pick their brain on something or like brainstorm something, and you genuinely want to actually, connect. But then it's just like it kind of stalls there, or I don't know. I don't want to be so pushy and like asking for more time, but I would like to have like a long-term, like, mentors that I can kind of feel are on my team and I can also help them. Yeah.
So first things first is don't be afraid of being pushy. Point one, I'm not saying I'm going to say be a bull in a china shop, because I'm a bull in a china shop. Look, I didn't get to where I am today because I was afraid to ask for what I wanted. You have to be willing to ask for what you want. Now, if you approach somebody who says, look, I'm looking for somebody to be I would love for you to be my mentor, and this is why X, Y, and Z, and blah, 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 and this is what I'm looking to achieve, and all of this. Would you be willing to be my mentor? And if so, like here, and then you have that discussion, like how much time that would take, because time is money. It depends on who that person is. If they're more of a friend that you've had a longer term relationship with, then you might be able to have a little more informal conversation around that versus something you may not know well enough yet. And then you might say, look, I would love to. Keep in mind, I'm really, for example, somebody came to me and I knew them on a basic acquaintance basis, but they had a good reason to ask for me to be a mentor, and there was enough of a connection there. Then I would say, okay, well, let's look at my schedule. Let's see what makes sense. Maybe one touch base a month. That's not a lot to ask for, is one touch base a month or one touch base a quarter. It really just depends, right? If it's once a month, maybe an hour. If it's once a quarter, maybe 2 hours, right? Or 3. It just comes down to you have that negotiation. It's just like a sales call, just like when you're trying to sell something. If I walk in, I'm trying to do a sales presentation tomorrow, I will walk into the person I'm doing a sales presentation for. And the very first thing I'm going to say to them before I sit down and show them anything in the presentation I'm going to give them is I'm going to say, okay, Amber, you're the person I'm actually going to be selling to. Thanks for coming in today. I'm really looking forward to sharing what we have for you. But before we get started, the very first thing I want to tell you is how much you're going to be paying me at the end of this call. Okay. So the package we put together is going to be $150,000. It's going to get to the goals you were trying to get to. As long as this is a budget range you're willing to consider, we can go ahead and go forward and having this conversation around what I have to offer you in this package. That is an upfront sell, right? Because what you're doing is you're talking about what the outcome is going to be first. And then once the two of you can agree on the outcome, then you can work on all the details in between point A and point B.
Wow, thank you. Because I think what I've been hearing from attending different conferences, whenever people talk about mentors, especially like from the mentorship side, it's like, oh no, it's just like a genuine, like an authentic connection. Like just let it happen. Don't ask someone, don't be so explicit in asking someone, hey, will you be my mentor? But then I think because I really took that to heart, I just expected these things to unfold naturally as long as I was like coming in and showing like, how much I care or like following up with them. But then we didn't explicitly talk about those things you just said, like how long would it be? What would it look like? And what they were okay with.
Look, life is not Hollywood in the sense of what's on TV or on a screen, right? What I mean by that is we are so conditioned when we're watching TV, watching movies today that we think love happens at first sight. Love happens because of intent. You choose to get to know that person. You choose to share who you are and be vulnerable, and you choose to build a relationship. And that choice is mutual. And that decision is something that, that's the goal. For example, if I start dating somebody, I tell them, they ask me like, why are you, what are you looking for? I immediately say, I'm looking for marriage. Can you handle that? I don't want to marry tomorrow, but I'd like to be married and potentially have a family. If you can handle that, we can get down, we can go on a second date. Cool. Awesome. Because that's, again, you're setting up the expectation. You're setting up what you're going in for. Now, I'm not going to be a crazy person that's going to start a diary and write all about this person after the first date and have all of our names and different, inscribed all over everywhere and buy them a pillow and a mug. No, I'm not doing that. That doesn't, just because you're telling somebody that your goal is marriage doesn't mean you're doing all of that. It just means that that's your end game, right? That's what you want to get to. It is okay to ask for what you want. When I started the company I'm at, I said, this is where I want to get to. This is the role I want to end up at. This is where I want to be. Do we see a pathway here? If we do, then we can, I look forward to continuing this negotiation process. And guess what? I work at this company and I've been on that pathway and there's some great news coming out soon. So the point is that you control your life. Nobody else controls it. You control your career, you control your personal life, you control your life. And that control is solely based in, are you willing to ask and decide what you want? That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? I've got 5 more minutes before I definitely have to call it because I have to go get results of fortunately, I think I've got a stress fracture from running from last year. So that's going to be fun to get those results. So we're going to see how that goes. Yeah, it is what it is. I'll just ride my Peloton. It gets delivered on Thursday instead of running anymore. It's all fun. See, make lemonade out of lemons. Any other questions to touch on? Well, if you haven't already, you can find me on LinkedIn, Mike Richter, MikeRichter. Should be simple to find me. I'm in a blue suit in my picture. I think I'm in a blue suit. I might not be. I don't know what picture I have, honestly. But it's not hard to miss me. But with that being said, if anything else pops up, feel free. Yes, I am in a blue suit. Now that I saw that picture. If anything else pops up, feel free to reach out. The key is in this space, you don't have to know where you want to go. You don't have to know what you want to do. And you don't have to be good at it. You just have to be willing to try, to make mistakes, and to fail forward, to network, and be willing to ask for what you want. That's it. And you're going to make it to where you want to get to.
Thank you. And good luck with your injury.
Thank you.
Mike, thank you so much. That was so good. That was filled with such great insight and background and candidness. And thank you very much. And guys, when they say, reach out to me, take advantage of that. They won't say it, unless they really mean it. And I don't know about you, but who wants to work with Mike? Let's all go and apply. Mike, thank you very, very much. And listen, if there's anything the team at One Day Immersion can do for you guys, reach out to me as well. I'm happy to try to help, and we're all the board of directors are happy to try to help in any way we can. But thank you so much for your time and for spending some of your Wednesday evening with us. So I hope you have a good evening, and I hope you join us on the next session.
Okay.
Mike, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Good luck, and look forward to hope to see you in the future.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.